So we're ready to go fly, right? Well, there's one more thing you need to do. You need to make sure that the firmware is updated to the latest version. So to do that, we're going to go to the Hoverfly website and download the latest update client and setup client. You're going to start that software, and you should see something like this. And then I'm going to connect my USB cable to the Hoverfly Pro. And you're going to hear some beeping and you're going to see some LEDs. Now in the software, go ahead and start. I'm going to hit Next, agree to the license agreement. And some of this may change as we change the software. You want to go ahead and select what kind of board you have. And you should see a picture of it. Then you're going to hit Next. Then you select what mode you want to operate in. Now we've just built a plus mode quad, so we're going to choose plus mode. Shows you a figure. That's to help remind you of the configuration and also the directions of the propellers. Hit Next. We're now connected to the Hoverfly Pro board. If you don't have the driver, you may need to download the driver and install it. That's just the USB driver. Hit Next, and here this is crucial. You want to select the software version. Now, depending on when the video was made and when you're watching the video, you're going to see different numbers here. You always want to take the highest number, the latest version of the firmware. So we're going to take this one. And now that we're connected to the Hoverfly Pro, we need to do a couple things. We want to make sure that our USB cable is connected and the software is good to go, and we hit Flash. Now it reminds you that there's 2 files to flash, and the 2 files correspond to the 2 microprocessors that we have on the board. So you have to move the USB switch to the position 1. Now depending on which version of the board you have, you may have 1 switch or 2 switches. It's right here on the board. It's right next, here's the USB connector, here's the switch. Now towards the white line and the wording of front, that's position 1, and the other position is position 2. If you have 1 switch or you have 2 switches, it doesn't matter. Move both switches if you have 2, and just the single switch if you have just 1, towards position 1, towards the front of the board. Now we can hit OK. It's flashing right now. It's loading the RAM. You will then verify that the program was installed in that microprocessor correctly. If you have the switch in the incorrect position, the program is not going to know that. You need to manually make sure that you have the switch moved to the right position. So now it says move the USB switch to position 2. We're going to move our little dip switch here and hit OK. And now it's verified and we have success. So what we've just done is made sure that our board is in the correct configuration, plus configuration, and we've made sure it has the latest firmware. We periodically update the firmware, and you're going to want to make sure that you always have the latest. So now the second thing that you can do is use the, let me just open it up, the setup utility. And the setup utility will connect to the board and allow you to test some of the functionality. Make sure the USB is in position 1. Make sure that the LED is blinking purple. And now if I move the craft around a little bit, I'm going to see those gyro values move, and I can see the accelerometers move a little bit. It's a little hard to move it in this video. Now I have my radio on, and I want to start doing my setup, and I'll explain that in a little more detail in a minute. But right now I want to show you what happens when we use the setup client. Just look at the values on the screen. I'm moving the sticks on the transmitter, and I know all the ESCs are very loud, but I'm moving the sticks, and I can see the values moving on my setup client. I can also flick some of my switches, which I've already set up, and see that, well, in this case, auto leveling enabled is coming on and off.